Hi, everybody. Hi, welcome to Costume Co. I'm a bit early here. I just want to say hi to you all. Thanks so much for coming. This is my second live stream. Can you guys hear me okay? Message me in the chat if you can hear me okay, guys. Hi, Erin. How are you? Hi, Judith. Hi, Samid. Thanks so much for coming. Bukudraka, I think that's your name. Hey, guys. So I'm sorry, I'm just a few minutes early, so maybe I'll just wait till everybody gets in. And I usually have Jack helping. Oh, thanks so much, Samid. Okay. I usually have Jack, my husband, helping me with this, but unfortunately he had a gig that he's doing and he's a video guy. And so I had to sort of do this by myself. So I'm hoping everything is okay. So what we're going to do today is hey, Erin. I was saying to people if they had some questions for me, they could ask. I had one question from Courtney, and unfortunately I couldn't find it, but I've just got a few things that people brought up last time, so I thought I would talk about that, okay? So the first thing was I had been asked for some different costume references and what places I like to go and find. I'm having a hard time hearing myself here. And find costume references, history of costume, and so on. So I thought what I would do is I would just tell you guys some of the places I like to go, and I've put them in the comment section. Sorry, actually in the description. So if you guys need to know some places to do research, that's where you can go. Oh, and Judith has a question. Okay, Judith, I'll get to you in a moment. Okay, so the first place I like to go is there's actually 3 really good channels. They're not channels, sorry, they're websites that also do this type of thing that I do. They just don't do a YouTube version of it. So there's Clothes on Film, and so he analyzes film. It's one guy. And then there's Frock Flicks. It's 3 girls. They are actually historians, so they actually assess the different movies and TV shows. They're very, very good. They're a little bit snarky. I try not to be as snarky as them, but it's kind of funny if you can take that with a grain of salt. And then there's also Tyranny of Style. He's actually a costume designer. He works out of LA, and so he does a really good job. So that's Tyranny of Style. And then as far as historical costumes, there's a couple of places that I like to go. Hi, Chrissy. Chrissy's here. And we also have Haley Marie. Hi, guys. Haley Marie, whoa. So hi, guys. Welcome to my second live stream. Okay, and so in terms of historical costumes, the places I like to go is the Met, which is in New York. I use them all the time. They have a really great online library of all of their historical artifacts and costumes. They've got a great costume collection. And, I was going to say that a lot of people like using Pinterest, and I do sometimes use Pinterest, but the problem that I've had with Pinterest is that a lot of the times they don't necessarily have the accurate information. So if I do go to Pinterest, what I usually do is try to pinpoint where that source actually came from originally. So I'll look at the Pinterest and then I'll try to backtrack it to where it came from. And usually it comes from, a more reputable source like the Met. The other place I like to use is the Victoria and Albert Museum. That's in London. And I don't know if any of you have been there. It's a beautiful museum. And they've got a really great costume collection there. So, and what I like about them is they give you a lot of extra information about the costumes themselves. So you can look up their exhibit online. They'll oftentimes tell you all of the details of how the costumes were made and so on. And then the other one is the Fashion Museum in Bath. And I had the good fortune of being able to go there. Oh, Courtney's here. Great, Courtney, because I couldn't find your question. So we'll get to that, okay, in just a moment. And Courtney, I'm just kind of going through some resources that if you guys need to do costume research, Courtney is actually an illustrator, and she tends to do like very, very detailed illustrations that show the costumes themselves. So she's got a sort of really good understanding of how historical costumes look. And she actually even teaches an online course in it. which Courtney, I should add that to the description. So if people want to find out what service you offer. So the other place is the Fashion Museum in Bath I was mentioning. That's actually in Bath. And as I mentioned, when I was in college, I had the good fortune to be able to go there. We went on a school trip, which was so much fun. Like if you're in college or university, I'd highly recommend doing an educational trip. It was really valuable for me. And I got to go some great places and look at some awesome costumes. So, and in Canada, actually, I'm planning on going there. One of my viewers last stream was mentioning there's a kimono exhibit there. They do rotating exhibits, but they also have a very good collection of costumes and historical costumes. And in fact, when I was looking at Black Panther, they've got a really, really great selection of African artifacts there. So, and then finally, there's the Fashion Institute of Design Museum that's in LA. And they have, I don't think they have all of their exhibits online, but they tend to do a lot of the movies and so on. So if you guys are ever interested in looking at movie and TV costumes, a lot of times they do rotating exhibits. They do one for the Emmys, they do one for the Oscars. So that's always cool. I oftentimes do go there because then I can actually see what the costumes look like. So anyway, so I've got a few questions here. What I'm going to do is we've got Xenon Faye. Is that how you say it, Xenon? I'm just going to go back here a little bit. So I had one person who said, oh my God, I love your videos. Thank you so much, Judith. That's lovely. Oh, the video is a bit laggy. Okay, well, that's because I don't have Jack here with me and I'm doing it on my own. So I apologize if the video is not up to snuff. I think I didn't have the best stream going on here. So unfortunately, I'm not a technical person and my technical person isn't here. So I apologize if it's a bit laggy. Okay, what do I do outside of YouTube? Okay, Judith asks. Well, my background is in theatrical costume. I went to school for theater and I studied history of costume and costume construction. And then for many years, I worked as a head of wardrobe. But now I'm actually a writer. I write, I do corporate writing and I do a lot of video scripts for corporate events. So that's actually what I do. But I still keep my foot sort of in the costuming door. And then what else is here? Will you ever look at the costumes from Hamilton? If you're talking about the musical, I won't, Haley. And the reason is because I'm not getting into that area yet. I've had other people ask me to do video games. And so I'm already swamped as it is with TV and film. So if they did do a movie version of it, I might have a look at that. And then Courtney asks, hey, Heidi, a couple of questions, but I'll start with what steps can we take for designing costumes of a different culture without approaching cultural tropes and stereotypes? Well, that's a really Courtney, that is such a difficult question. Oh my gosh. Well, and I'm probably not the best person to be answering this. I mean, I sort of feel that, okay, like I'm doing Black Panther right now. So we've got, we've got a costume designer, we've got a director, we've got a cast that are doing a Marvel Universe style movie using African style costumes that they're influenced by. And in that case, the line is less gray because I think it's sort of, it's them appropriating their own costume, their own culture. But if you're getting into a situation where you have, say another culture that's using another, for instance, you see someone on the runway who is Caucasian wearing a battle head dress from, First Nations, then that's for me crossing the line. I know that in some cases, Michelle Clapton, I think I've sort of mentioned that sometimes she probably crosses the line a little bit. So I think it's like, it's a very hard for me. And I mean, me being a white woman, it's a very difficult thing for me to answer. There are people I think who have spoken about this and do a much better job than I have. And I think what I'll do is I'll see if I can find some of the things that they've said about it, and maybe I can talk to you about it a little bit more. But I know it's very, very difficult, especially in this day and age. At one time, that people thought nothing about doing that. And I know we touched on this a little bit last week. I'm not really a cultural anthropologist as much. I'm a costume person, My dad actually studies, Native anthropology. He's actually got a master's in Aboriginal studies. So I'm sort of sensitive to this whole thing. I find it like it can be really upsetting. I can't imagine what it would be like for another culture to have someone take your something that is sacred to you and then just use it for, in a movie without. And I'm probably going to touch on that a little bit in my next Black Panther video, because there was a situation with a famous designer where he did take this particular type of blanket that we see in Black Panther and appropriated it and used it for the runway. And a lot of people were really upset about it. So if I'm not answering it, it's a little bit of a hot button issue. So I will look into that a little bit more for you, Courtney, though. Okay. And then the next, what do we have? Pinterest is nice for reference pictures, but bad for research. Really frustrating sometimes. Yeah, I think so too. It's part of the problem I have, and I mean, this is something just in general research, is that you have to sometimes look at what the source is. And in doing proper research, usually what we recommend is that you have 3 sources. So you can cite 3 sources, and then more likely it'll be correct. But oftentimes, like even paintings, if they're done in a certain period, like say if they do a medieval costume, but it's set in if they've done it in the Renaissance, then it'll have a bit of a Renaissance sort of picture of it. Like Joan of Arc is a really good example of that. I've seen like pictures and paintings of her that don't really probably depict her in the correct fashion. Oh, Beanie Draws is in here. Hi, Beanie. Beanie is one of my creator friends, and he's from Australia, so he's well across the country, so it's probably like 6 a.m. for him right now. Oh my God. What other questions do we have here? Oh, Xenon, I could call her Claire. Okay, hi, Claire. And then Claire says, I'm the person who sent you the request on Twitter to help in the construction of Danny's season 3 blue dress. Oh, that's so great. Well, did you make it? Did you end up making it? If you did, maybe you can send me a picture of what it looked like, what the results look like. Samiz says, I hate when culture is appropriated by TV film, but then they won't cat people from those. They won't cast people from those cultures. It's a case of, we just want to steal your stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And I know that it was really weird. There was a situation in Outlander where they needed to have First Nations people, and they were supposed to actually be, I think, Dakota, but they came to Canada to do the casting. So a lot of people in the United States were really mad. They're like, why are they coming to Canada to cast, a different nation, not an American nation, but a Canadian nation. So I'm not really sure, guys. As I mentioned, I'm a white person, and I don't feel completely comfortable commenting on it. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. Favorite costume or costumes from a movie? Oh, it's so hard. Let me think. Well, I have mentioned before that I really love Grand Budapest Hotel. That's one of my favorites. And anything pretty much Tilda Swinton's been wearing, I always, speaking of cultural appropriation, what's it, Doctor Who, Doctor Strange, there's some examples of that. But I really did love the costumes in that movie, and I'm actually going to do an analysis of that. Judith says, thanks for answering. I'm going to just go back here. Aaron says, Heidi, if you lose a question, I will write it down and re-ask it for the other person if they leave. Okay, thanks, Aaron. Aaron, you probably noticed that I made you a moderator. I know I didn't ask your permission. I just went ahead and did that. So I hope that's okay. That's why you have a blue wrench. What else have we got here? That's so cool. Thanks for answering. Ooh, can't wait for your Black Panther video. The costumes are so awesome. Yeah, so actually that brings me to this point. I'm doing an interview with Ruth Carter. She's the costume designer for Black Panther. I'm doing it on Monday, and I was very fortunate that Marvel Canada approached me and asked me to do an interview with her. So I will try and get that all together. Hopefully I'll have that out next week. We're trying to do it in advance of, they're actually having, what is it? The digital release on May 8th, and the Blu-ray release will be May 15th. So it's sort of tied into that. That's why I got that really great opportunity. And the other thing I was going to mention to you, I'm going to be doing a stream with the Justin Thomas show on this coming Wednesday. And last week I had a lot of people ask about the Borgias. So I haven't seen that show. It's on Netflix, but Justin is a huge fan of the Borgias. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do it slideshow style. We're going to just go through the slides of the Borgias. Also Peaky Blinders. Is anyone in here a fan of that show? And we're just going to go through it and talk about the costumes and how it sort of influences the characters. And then the following Saturday, like next Saturday, I'm going to have In Deep Geek on. That's Robert. And because Westworld, in case any of you have forgotten, is airing tomorrow night and on HBO. So the season 2 premieres tomorrow night. And so Robert and I are going to chat next Saturday at the same time. And we're going to talk about themes that we see in the first episode. And then we can also talk about how costumes are sort of like what costumes we see. Hopefully we'll get to see Shogun World. And then finally on May 3rd, I'm going to have Kristen Jones on the show. And I talked to you guys about her last weekend. She's this lady from Michigan. She's from Flint, Michigan. And she's a cosplayer, and she's this lady who likes to wear her costumes to work and such. And she's actually, you should see, she's done this Predator costume. It's just crazy. It's on her Facebook page. So she's going to come on, and we're going to go through all of her cosplays. And she's going to answer questions if anybody has any questions about creating costumes, doing patterns, doing sewing, that type of thing. She's sort of an expert in that area. So I'm going to have her on next Thursday, May 3rd. So lots of fun stuff coming up, everybody. At least for me. Hopefully you guys find it fun. So Beanie draws, by the way. He's a creator on YouTube, and he is an amazing artist, and he does dinosaurs. And we've gotten to know each other over the last year, and so I adore him. And he says, here's his question. He says, the beauty of sci-fi alien type movies is there's no cultures to appropriate. Though I do know some cultures influence style, but as long as you're not directly copying, I see no problem. Yes, absolutely. So, and actually that's really interesting that you say that, Beanie, because, you know, Gene Roddenberry, that's sort of when he was doing Star Trek, that's what he did. If he wanted to talk about, you know, maybe race relations or cultural differences or political issues, that's, you know, it was a great way to sort of talk about that. Also, you guys can help me with this, the Twilight Zone, they did the same thing. Oh, doing it with Jason's here. Yo, what's up, Jason? Sorry, Jason, I'm having a bit of a lag. I don't have my technician here running this. I'm doing this on my own. This is terrible. What other questions do I have here? Ooh, can't wait for your Black Panther costumes. Did we already talk about that? The costumes are so awesome. So I know this is terrible, but I just saw Black Panther this week. I just went this week. I watched it in 3D. It was really great. And then I'm doing my interview tomorrow, or sorry, on Monday with the designer. And then I have a full, besides my interview with her, I'm going to do a full on analysis of it. So I've been doing a lot of research on African clothing, which has been really fun. Oh, and Samid says, I love Peaky Blinders. I've only seen the first episode, Samid. Beanie, I can 100% agree with you on that, says Aaron. Yeah, so there, you guys can be friends now. You've made friends. There, Aaron and Beanie. Except Aaron's in London. I think you're in London, aren't you, Aaron? And Beanie's on the other side of the world, so it's like probably 6 a.m. for him right now. Angela Marie, hi! She says, I love your channel. I am excited for Peaky Blinders. Such a great show. Would love to see your reviews of their costumes. Yes. So I did one tweet, actually. So Michelle Carragher, who does all of the gorgeous embroidery on Game of Thrones, she did one of the dresses. And so I tweeted that. So Angela Marie, I've only seen the first episode. So I promise I'm going to try and get through that. I know that Justin Thomas is trying to get me to watch it. I was wondering if you could give me some help in regards to the construction of Danny's season 3 blue dress. How can I construct it so I can actually put it on off? Is it a wrap dress, open side seam? Yes. Okay. Okay. Can you give me which of the blue dresses are you referring to? Her like dragon scale dress? Because if that's the one, it's actually it's a crossover and it fastens in the front. But if you want, you can just, why don't you can email me. I have it in the description. And I can give you a little bit more advice on that. Would that work for you? My friend Bonnie loves that show, says Haley Marie. I would love your help. Peace, everyone. Just found this channel yesterday. I just saw Black Panther for the first time a few days ago. It has given me some great inspiration. Oh, that's awesome. So that's Full of Love Bay says that. Peace, everyone. Oh, that's just a repeat of what she just said there. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you found my channel. Awesome. So the other thing I was going to talk to you guys about, I don't know who asked me this last week. Someone, it might have been Courtney, who asked me what books I like to use. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a show and tell. Might be a bit boring, but anyway, so these books are really heavy. So the first one I have, here, let me actually, I'm going to start with this one. So this is the first one. See if you can see it. Is The History of Costume, and it's by Blanche Payne, Geitel, Winakor, and Jane Farrell-beck. And this book is, it's probably, I probably had this for 25 years. Okay, and I got this when I was in college, and it was actually our textbook in college. It's very, very in-depth. So if you guys are looking for a very, very in-depth book, this is a good one to have. But I just got this other one here. I think this is a really good starter book here. This one here it's called Fashion, A Definitive History of Costume and Style, and it's by the Smithsonian. And we got it from Amazon. Actually, it was a gift. But it's a beautiful visual directory of costumes. And so, can you guys see it? I've put all these in the description below so you can see them. So that's a really good one. This one here, this is just a little directory. It's actually just all like everything is illustrated. This woman, her name is Joan Nunn. It's called Fashion and Costume 1200 to 1980. And this is one of my favorite books. I've been using this book for years. So I've had this for about 20 years. This one here. Here's another one. This isn't my favorite book. It's okay. Like I mean, it's got like a lot of photographs and stuff. So, you know, and she also has some illustrations as well. So this one is called Survey of Historic Costume. This is the 3rd edition by Phyllis Tortora and Keith Eubank. That one there. They're really heavy. If you guys, I don't know what you guys are saying here. I sent pictures of it to you on Twitter. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is this the same book? Oh, this is the same book, The Survey of Costume. It's the 2nd edition. And then finally, this is one of my favorite books. This is more for contemporary, but I've got this one here. It's called Vogue, History of 20th Century Fashion by Jane Mulvagh, like that. And it basically runs from... Yeah, it goes from like 1900 pretty much. But this was a gift from a friend, and it's really awesome. And I've used it so much. And they've got actually like really great, you can see how dirty the cover is. They've got really great photos inside, guys. So that's a really good one for more modern. So anyway, and if anybody wants any of that information, I can put that in the description as well. So let me get back to what you guys are saying here. Peace, everyone. Okay, we've got, Full of Love is watching from Puerto Rico. Hello. I actually have another viewer, believe it or not, from Puerto Rico. Natalia? Her name will come to me. Beanie Draw says, when I was a kid, I was really interested in fashion design and actually made a dinosaur skin jacket. Well, hopefully it wasn't out of real dinosaur skin, Beanie. Well, not made. I drew one. That's pretty cool. I actually, years ago, I don't know if you guys know, if you're a Canadian, we have this thing called the Royal Ontario Museum, and they were one of my clients, and I actually made a dinosaur costume for them, for their kids' play area. I did a bunch of different animals, actually. And I used this really, really fun sort of like or what is it? Like it'd be like kind of like a crocodile, faux crocodile that I used for the costume. It was really cute. I'll see if I can find a picture of that, Beanie, and send that to you. Angela Marie says, love your Danny Funko Pop in the background. Oh, yes, I just got her. Isn't she so cute? I have her on my Twitter. I just got it this week. She's sitting on her Dragonstone throne, you can see. And the only thing that I was a little bit disappointed is she's sitting so she won't come off. Like, I can't pull her off and like look at her. But she's wearing her beautiful black dress with the red cape, the dragon pleated cape. Chrissy Volstone says, wow, 20 years? Aren't you like 33 years old? Okay. Chrissy, I love you. Oh my God, I totally love you. Nope, not 33. Holly says, hi, Heidi. Can you tell us what your favorite male and female Game of Thrones costumes are? Oh, well, I think Danny's would probably be the white jacket. I totally adore that jacket. And, oh, you know what? Actually, in season 10, my favorite costume actually was, what's John's sister's name? Her wedding gown. I love that one. And then my favorite male, it might be Jon Snow, like his more recent one that looks like his dad. Doing it, Jason says, have you watched the show Timeless? No, but you know what, Jason, I just saw a picture the other day of the costumes. They look really awesome. Because I guess they travel through time, right? Is it sort of like what's that other show called where they leapt to different times? Quantum Leap? Like that one? Courtney says, thanks for your recommendations. It can be difficult to find good resources for costume history. Most seem to focus on modern design. Yeah, for sure. Beanie says, I've been getting into Gary Newman, Boy George, and David Bowie. Have you thought about doing fashion and music? There's a lot there to look at as well. Okay, well, no, but I am going to be doing an analysis of American Gods, the New Gods, and in there, the media, she dresses up as David Bowie. So I am doing a little bit of a breakdown. You know, his blue suit that he wore, his Ziggy Stardust suit. So that will be in that video coming up, Beanie. I absolutely love costume design. My favorite TV shows are The Tudors and Memoirs of a Geisha, also Marco Polo. I'd like to wear the clothes in real life. Yeah, that's why it's going to be so fun having Kristen on, because she does. She wears her costumes, and I just think that's awesome. And actually, some of the other cosplayers do. They sort of incorporate it into their clothes, and it's really cool. Anyone else like wear costume-type clothing every day? Yeah, so just like that. So Haley Marie says, Sansa, is that your favorite? Is that your favorite costume? Haley Marie, Sansa? Beanie, I agree. Boy George's style is so fascinating. You know, okay, this is again aging me. I saw Boy George when I was in high school. Yes, I did. Karma Chameleon. I saw him, and yeah, he's pretty cool. And I had a friend who used to dress up like him. Full of love, yes. I love to wear costumes to local events and even just around the house. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And Xenon Face says that gorgeous coat recently featured in that awesome, super cute Omaze video that Emilia Clarke was in. Yeah. So I actually tweeted that. So if you guys haven't seen it, it was funny because I was looking for something else and I just happened to come across that video. And I was like, oh my God, how have I not seen this video of Emilia Clarke in her white winter coat? And she's just sort of in the parking lot of the, you know, of the studio. And then it turned out it had just been posted that day. So I tweeted it right away. I was super excited, but it was great because you could see all the different details of the costume as she was moving and so on. And Aaron says, I sometimes wear a tea gown around my house all day. Well, Aaron, you got to send me a picture of that. And then maybe you can make me a tea gown so I can wear a tea gown all day too. My latest inspiration is Troy on Netflix. That's my style preference as far as personal clothing type. Yeah, I love, well, I guess Troy, that would be Greek. I assume that's a beautiful style of clothing. Yeah. Haley Marie says, I love all of Sansa's dresses. Yeah. I adore her dresses too. Now, if any of you saw my season 7 analysis, you might know that I wasn't as crazy about the season 7 costumes. It's not that I didn't think that the style on them was beautiful, but it was so dark and I could barely make out all the details. And it wasn't until I saw close-ups of the costumes you could see all the gorgeous details. So part of it was the lighting. I thought it was just a really dark season, and I'm a little bit scared what's going to happen in season 8. And then Samid says, Sansa needs more dresses. Yeah, she only had 3 this last season. Like, they're really, really frugal with her costumes. And Jason says Boy George was his favorite when he was little. I bet you, Jason, have you ever done a video dressing up as Boy George? I'd like to see that. You could have a challenge with Owen Video, along with a Ghostbusters soundtrack. Oh, and Heidi, I actually live in South Carolina. Oh, yeah, sorry, Aaron. Why do I think you live in England? Your grandmother's from England. Aaron's got like a kick-ass a kick-ass aunt. She's like 96 years old. She's super cool, and I've tweeted about her. She's like my oldest viewer. I think she's my oldest viewer. Maybe I have somebody older. Haley says, I can send you really nice close-ups. Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, guys, Aaron, did I miss any questions? Is there anything I missed? Does anybody else want to ask anything? I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything here I wanted to talk to you guys about. Okay, so let's just, we'll put the floor open. You guys can just, if you want to talk about anything, just let me know. And then we can just talk about that because I didn't have anything else prepared. Samid says, that annoys me too. The show being realistic is one thing, but I wish they'd have more lighting so we can appreciate the costumes. So, okay, so Samid's talking about Game of Thrones, and season 7 was just really, really dark. So it was just hard to see anything. And so what happened with me was when I decided to do the analysis, I did a weekly analysis during season 7. It was just so frustrating because I couldn't see what was going on there. And I ended up just, trying to brighten the pictures up. And then I ended up finding this chart that showed that actually season 7 was by far the darkest season. So I was a little bit annoyed at Dave and Dan about that. I guess they were trying to just show how serious things were getting, and that, everything, because of the war, that everything was getting, much more serious. So they wanted to just do that. But at the same time, it just made it very difficult to see the costumes. Okay, let me go back here. See what I've missed anything. Oh, Justin Thomas is here. Hi, Justin. The Justin Thomas Show. So, Justin, I was just mentioning that we're doing a live stream on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Justin, I've put your link in the description below if anybody wants to check you out. He's an awesome YouTuber. He analyzes TV shows. I don't think you do movies. And he mostly like Westworld, Game of Thrones, Peaky Blinders, and I think he is going to be doing Vikings. If I'm incorrect there, Justin, correct me. And so what we're going to do this coming Wednesday is Justin sending me some pictures of the Borgias. We're going to also look at some pictures from Peaky Blinders and kind of just go through that. And you guys can come into the chat. And then if you have things that you want to mention as well, it's going to be very interactive. I think it'll be totally a blast. So I've been really looking forward to having him on the show. So where am I here? Oh, and Heidi. Oh, okay, I got that. Where am I missing here? And then Aaron says, not so far, I'll go back. Okay, thanks, Aaron. Beanie says, if you find details in clothing hard to see in video, you can download VLC Player, and it allows you to adjust the video to reduce the shadows and bring out more details. Well, yeah, Beanie, I'm already doing that. And I'm trying to find all the tricks. So I already do that. And I also, there's a really great, I don't know what it's called, but they do screen grabs. So I'll sometimes go there. But even with that, because the problem is what, 1020 by 720 or something, you guys probably know better than me. And so the pictures themselves aren't that really high resolution, whereas the ones that they do, the proper photos are like really, really high res, like the ones that are done by the photographer on set. So I don't always get those until like maybe a week after the show is aired. So it just makes it a bit harder. Do you know the origins of crochet as we know it today? I've read that it was used to make small purses in the mid-1800s, but that's about the best I've seen about it. Well, Holly, I can look into that for you. I'm pretty sure it's very old. Actually, when I was doing my Outlander video, you would be shocked at how far back some stuff goes, like knitting and crocheting and tatting and all that stuff. So it probably goes back centuries, I would suggest. Probably the Vikings were doing stuff like that back in the 800, 900 period. So a lot of what we know of nowadays, like the Irish and the Scottish and that type of thing, the British, it was done by other people before they had even done it. So I'll look into that for you, though. That's a really great question. I've been doing what when studying Jurassic World trailers to draw from. Oh, Beanie, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm not sure what that means. Are you meaning that you're analyzing? Oh, you're downloading them on the VLC and then you're blowing them up, making them brighter. Is that what you mean? Yeah. And I'm so excited for Game of Thrones Dream of Spring costumes at the end of next season. I think they are going to be fantastic. You know what? I don't know what Dream of Spring is, Christine. I don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is in the chat to me? Thanks. Okay, plus her hairstyle in the Omaze vid was amazing. People are already making theories, ideas about what the new hairstyle symbolizes, potentially Danny and John getting married. Okay, so I had one comment to make about that. Like, so John was wearing his season 7 costume and Danny was wearing her season 7 costume. Both of them were. So I suspect that they didn't want to show what they're actually going to be wearing. So they just the stylists just put their season 7 costume on there. So I don't know that we can actually get anything from the Omaze video for sure, because, you know, they're going to try and thwart everything, all of our attempts at finding out what's going to happen, right? Do you think? What do you guys think about that in the chat? I think that they just might have thrown their season 7. I'm not saying that she's not going to wear her white coat again in season 8. I'm just saying I suspect that they might have just put their season 7 costumes on them. Okay. Oh, and sorry, Haley, I saw you said I have a blog for costumes called Feast of Clothes. That's so cool. Would you send me, can you email me that or tweet me that? And I'll put it into I'll put that in the description, okay? And Courtney wants to know, what is the difference between designing costumes for stage versus for film? Well, I don't think it's that much different. There are some aspects in theater that you have to keep in mind. So for instance, if you're running a play, you have a play, it's like a 2 an hour 15. So you're going to be dealing with things like quick rigged costumes, quick changes. You might have, I don't know, there might be some kind of like special effect aspect of the costume that needs to happen. It might need to be fireproofed, you know, if there's flames on stage or fire on stage. So yeah, so there, you know, sometimes people are playing multiple characters, so that how it would be back into having to change them, do a very, very quick. So it could be as much as they have to do it on stage, whereas in a show, like in a movie or a TV show, they can just stop the camera and then go and do that. So whereas in theater, it's live, so everything has to happen on the fly. So it does make it very exciting. I have to say I've done a lot of theater and it is very, very exciting. But at the same time, it can be really stressful too. I want to recreate some of Daenerys's dresses. They look really gorgeous, and with the right styling, I don't think that they would stand out too much. Oh no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could totally do some of Dany's dresses and wear them every day, for sure. Yeah, and you know what? And I'm going to have, when I have Kristen Jones, we're going to go through that. She's done a Melisandre. She's never done a Dany, but I do have a couple of cosplayers that I'm hoping to get on that do Dany. So hopefully we can talk about that aspect of it. What else have I got here? Maybe and even an online school, I would totally sign up for one. Anything familiar with anything online? Oh, Full of Love. Sorry, I'm not sure what that means. Like in terms of an online school. Where did you start the YouTube channel? Oh, why did you start the YouTube channel? Oh, okay. Well, I started the YouTube channel because I was a very big fan of Game of Thrones, and I had seen that there were these other blogs, and like there was one that does a podcast, but nobody actually was doing a YouTube analysis of movies and film from a costume point of view. So I thought that, you know, there was a little bit of a need for that. And I'd really wanted, the first one I did, I really wanted to do an analysis of Cersei. I thought her costumes were amazing. And I thought, oh, this would be, you know, maybe I could do this. I also have a background in broadcasting, so I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll use my broadcasting. I did everything at the beginning was terrible, though. You guys, if you watch any of my earlier videos, you'll see how bad the sound is. I didn't know what I was doing, so it's been a big learning process. So, and then anyway, I had some pretty good positive feedback from everybody about it, and it ended up working out. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you like the idea about it. Justin says, awesome. I appreciate and I am looking forward to it. And yes, that's pretty much the idea of the channel. So Justin's saying I kind of got his his channel right. I will be sending you pics, probably slot on Monday, since I am no sleep from Westworld mania. So yeah, Justin's going to be really busy over the next few days, because tomorrow night, and I think it's at 9 EST, I could be wrong, maybe 10, that Westworld will be showing. So he's going to be like in full Westworld mode, and maybe we'll touch on that as well on Wednesday. Full of Love costume design is more of an in-person kind of class, says Aaron. Oh, bye, Beanie. Beanie says, gotta go. But on the bright side, getting rid of the shadows also alters the image, which reduces the risk of copyright strikes. Oh, okay. Monks used to do crochet. Laugh out loud. Oh, really? See, I didn't know that. I wouldn't be surprised at that. They did a lot of things. Angela wants to know, have you ever seen the show The Vikings or The Last Kingdom on Netflix? It's funny you mentioned them just now, because I was just about to bring them up. I love their costumes. And yeah, so I have watched one episode of The Vikings. I did a visit to the ROM. I got invited to the ROM to look at their exhibit, get a sneak peek. So I did a video on Viking costumes, and then I actually went and met with some reenactors, and I talked this woman's ear off for like 2 hours. She must have thought I was nuts, just finding out like how people lived in that time period. I'm just really fascinated with it. And then my background is Irish, and then I found out my grandmother's from Cork, Ireland. And I found out that that's actually a Viking settlement. So I was like, oh, maybe that's why I'm so fascinated with it. So, and then my sister's getting her, she's getting genetic testing done. So I said, hey, I wonder, it'd be interesting if we found out that there was some Scandinavian in our family. So I'm hoping to watch that. I've been trying to get in Deep Geek to watch it as well, to watch Vikings. And I think that Justin is watching Vikings. So yeah, I think most likely I will. And guys, I mentioned this last week that it's just hard for me because a TV show, especially if it's multiple seasons, it takes me a while to be able to get through it. So I'm hoping that I think I'm 5 seasons behind already. Is that right? Okay, what else have you guys asking here? I hope this is entertaining. Okay, agree they're not going to... Oh, wait, sorry. Angela says, Dream of Spring is going to be the last Game of Thrones book that George R. R. Martin is going to release after he releases Winds of Winter. The contents of the book take place after the war against the Whites. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I have a feeling it's going to be a bit like Lord of the Rings, where at the end they have sort of, they're saying it's going to be a bittersweet ending, but maybe at the end they'll have like everyone will be dressed in their finery, and we'll have like a big, or like Star Wars, where everyone at the end, they do a nice montage and we get to see everyone wearing their best clothing. That would be really awesome. Agree they're not going to. Samit says agreed. Agree they're not going to anything away about, oh yeah, they're not going to give anything away for sure about season 8. He's talking about Game of Thrones. Christine says, yeah, it's the last book in this series. I'm not a book person, I'm not a Game of Thrones book person, so I've only read the first book. So and Jason's leaving. Bye, Jason. Kids are going nuts. Yes. I've locked mine in a cage in the other room. So once I'm done this live stream, I'll let them out. Haley Marie says, but we're waiting for Sansa's wedding dress for her to marry John in. What? Haley Marie, do you know something we don't know? What are you talking about? I think that Sansa's going to end up being like Elizabeth I, and she's not going to get married. That's what sort of Robert from Indie Geek and I think, that she will, she'll be the Lady of Winterfell, and she'll be running the show there, but she won't actually get married. I hope she'll have a boyfriend. That would be nice for her. She had a boyfriend. Aaron says, Angela Marie, she has seen Vikings and even did some good videos on the show, and even a video on Musum and True Viking clothing and tools. Oh, so Aaron, what are you talking about? You talking about another series? Another analysis? Costume design schools like fashion programs, but specifically for stage or movies instead of fashion clothing. Not sure if that's a major anywhere. Okay, well, not in Canada, but in the States, yeah, they have programs for that. So, I went to theater school, so I specialized in costume in theater school. So there's theater costume programs, but in terms of fashion programs. Yeah, so yeah, no, yeah, for sure there are. Oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. So I went to a theater school in Toronto, Canada. It's at Ryerson. There's National, I think it was like National Theater School in Ottawa. There's Dalhousie in Canada. But if you tell me where you live, I can look into that for you. Okay? Because in the States, they're going to have like Carnegie Mellon. There's going to be there's a bunch of them down there. I've done conferences down there in the States. So there's a ton of schools down in the States that have costume programs. But I mainly watched her Geothe. Oh, okay. Full of love. If you actually volunteer at a theater or playhouse and you can actually be mentored by someone and get a lot of good lessons and tips from a pro, and it also gives you some insight. Yeah, really great recommendation, Erin. Actually, so when I was 15, I mentioned this last week, I did my very first, I done school theater, I done high school theater, but I did my very first show. I actually had auditioned for the show when I was stunk, I guess. So they said, well, would you like to be in the wardrobe? So actually that's how I got my first start. And I worked at this professional theater, and I just was like an assistant. And they paid me like hardly anything, but it was such a blast. We had such a great summer. So I was like about 15. The other thing I was going to say is if you have a theater program in your school, like if you're in high school or college, a lot of them have theater programs. Theaters, like for instance, colleges will oftentimes have a theater that's part of the school, but it's not a theater program necessarily. That's what my sister did. So you can do that as well. Please, can I ask again if there's any designer specific visual language dress codes from the Netherlands you find inspiring, funny, or pretty, and why? Thanks for all your work you put into the videos. That's from Arevalo. Please, can I ask if there's any designer specific visual language? Okay, I don't know. Are you asking if there's a designer from the Netherlands, or are you asking if there's movies that are done in the Netherlands with a specific style? Maybe can you clarify that for me? I hope Lady Stoneheart is incorporated into the last season. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Johnsa is coming, says Haley Marie. Haley Marie, do you know something we don't know? You got to tell me, girl. Is there something that we don't know? Sorry, guys, I keep rubbing my nose. My nose is so itchy for some reason. I think I've got allergies. I mentioned to you last weekend that we had a major snowstorm here. We had an ice storm, and it was funny because during the live stream, I was joking that I was worried that we were going to lose power. And then what happened was it was fine. And then the next day I lost power for about, I think, 6 or 7 hours. And then the next morning we had a flood in our basement. Like what happened was we got this ridiculous amount of rain overnight, and then suddenly it all thawed. Hey, Nick Nimmin is here. Hi, Nick. Oh my God, I'm so glad you came in. Nick is like my mentor. And Nick, what do you think of my setup? So glad to see you. So anyway, so luckily this weekend, the weather was really nice. We finally got into double digits. It's today I think we got up to 14 degrees Celsius. If you guys are in, oh, who's from The Hague? Aravello says, no, Heidi. Hello from The Hague, Netherlands. Oh, hello. I've never met anyone from The Hague. That's so cool. That's where they do all those trials, isn't it? Isn't that what it's known for? Anytime, Angela Marie. Arovella says, please. I already read that one. Oh, Nick says, hey, I think it's cool. Thanks, Nick. I really appreciate that. So how is it, Xenon Faye, how is it that Generis is canon? Can you please explain that to me? How is Generis canon? Aaron's asking a question. What costume design from any movie just grinds your gears? Well, Aaron, if you saw my video on Rain, you will know that that one does. And it was really funny because I was just talking about this the other day. You know, anytime you have something that's a little bit divisive, you're going to have people on one side and you're going to have people on the other side. And I watched that I didn't see the show, but I had a lot of people who had asked me to analyze it. And so what had happened was I sort of was like, I try not to be too hard on it. I thought I was fairly fair about it, but I was just sort of saying it's not historically accurate, and this is why. And the designer of that show has actually gone on to do Dynasty, like the latest version of Dynasty. And I thought that was kind of fitting for her because she'd actually come from Gossip Girl. But, it was just they had these girls basically wearing prom dresses that were bought from like H&M or something. But they're supposed to be like in the 17th century French court. So it was just preposterous. So I had a lot of people who got on me about that. And so that probably was the one that really grated on me the most, I think. Aaron, what about you? What do you think? And Aravilla says, I'm sorry, I forgot quite some interpunction. Yeah, I mean anything creative. Oh, okay. Okay, let me look into that, because to be honest with you, I don't know any designers from the Netherlands, any Dutch designers, but there are a lot of famous Dutch painters and sculptors and so on. So I'll have to look into that for you. Okay. Now, does anybody else want to talk about, is there anything else that anybody would like to talk about? Any other subjects? If you have any questions, just leave it in the chat. I think I'm caught up, Aaron. Am I? Aaron's laughing because I said prom dresses. That's not even my observation. I had other people who commented on that. They look like they were from, from the 1980s or something. Oh, Xenon says the boat sex at the end of season 7 is all the evidence I need for the Daenerys John Dany ship to canon. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Daenerys. Sorry. You mean John and Dany getting married? Oh, yeah, of course. What am I thinking? I thought you meant Dany. Or sorry, I thought you meant Sansa and John. Oh, my gosh. Sorry. I had a terrible moment there. Mary Teen of Scots. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and she was really cute. And Meagan Follows was on the show, and she's from Canada, so I appreciated her being on there. But yeah, sorry, it kind of stunk. Angela Marie says, I've actually heard people who've been upset with the costumes from Reign 2 because they are historically inaccurate. Yeah, and I wasn't like, I don't think I was that hardcore about it, Angela Marie. I think that I just sort of said, I just wish that they could give the audience a little bit more credit. And that's sort of how I sort of felt about it. But no fault against the people who like the show. I love lots of shows that aren't historically accurate. And, Aaron and I, sorry, not Aaron and I, but Justin and I both love True Blood, which, really is kind of hot garbage in a lot of ways. But it was lots of fun. Holly says, how did you like the costumes from Willow? Oh my gosh, Holly, I can't even remember, to be honest with you. What year is that from? That's a long time ago. I'd have to do a rewatch on it to come up with something. And Aravella says, yeah, I live and work in The Hague. I went to fashion school and work for several fashion designers and fabric labels. Now I want to make a shift to costume design, but I find it rather difficult. Okay, so Aravella, let me look into that, and then I'm going to get back to you next Saturday when we do our next live stream. I'm going to look into that for you, okay? Aaron says, yes, Angela, it's so annoying. Samid says, as well, we all know people having sex on Game of Thrones means that they live happily ever after. Are you being sarcastic? That's got to be a joke. Xenon says, have you ever looked at Colleen Atwood's work on the Star Wars prequels? Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I'm going to have a bit of a hard time with this. Guys, if any of you know me very well, I'm a sort of a big person on the Star Wars movies, the original series, and I'm not so crazy about the prequels. But I can appreciate the design aspect of it, but I can't really, I have a really bit of a hard time on that one. Sorry, guys. Peg Leg Pete's here. Hi, how are you? Did you see A Stitch in Time with Amber Butchart? No, I haven't seen it yet. Is that the one... sorry, which movie is that again? A Stitch in Time? I haven't seen it. Can you tell me who the designer on that is? Or sorry, who the director is? Christine says, John and Dany being together is way too predictable for the ending. That's not the way George rolls. Yeah, I think you're right. So that's why I want to know if you guys have some inside information. I want to know it. Xenon says, seeing the Star Wars prequels and Atwood's work on Amidella's wardrobe reignited my love for sewing. Oh yeah, her costumes were amazing. I mean, years ago when I was working in theater, I worked for a costume house, and we did a reproduction of her red velvet gown, which is actually, we were talking about cultural appropriation. And the funny thing that had happened was I worked with this girl who was from this place called Irkutsk. It's in Russia. It's like Siberia. And so she had this book on all of these different cultural costumes from Irkutsk, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, there's Queen Amidella's costume. Like it was totally appropriated from Siberia. So that was a little bit of a shocker for me. But anyway, no, I do appreciate the costumes from it. I think she did a really good job. And I know there's a lot of cosplayers who love to do it. I'm not, I'm really old school. So I really like the original trilogy. And I'm not so much of a fan of the prequels. But if you go to my channel, you see that I did do a video on the Star Wars. So if anyone wants to check that out, I did. So that's from the original trilogy, Luke and Leia and so on. Holly says, Interview with a Vampire had great costumes, and at the opposite end, The Matrix, two of my husband's favorites. Yeah, I'm a huge Matrix lover. I love that one. And I liked Interview with a Vampire. I did hear through the grapevine, I'm not sure if it's true, that the creator of American Gods is doing a TV version of Interview with a Vampire. So that'll be interesting to see if that comes true. A Stitch is a BBC TV show. Amber makes different clothes through history. It's on YouTube. Oh, okay. I'll have a look at that. Thank you. Story-wise, the prequels are awful, but the costume work is fantastic. Yeah. Only reason to watch episode 1. It's 6 parts, says Peg. Oh, yeah. This is what I notice about a lot of the British shows, is that they don't have these long, drawn-out seasons like we do in Canada and America. Aaron says, Holly, I love Interview with a Vampire and also The Matrix, and I think that Interview with a Vampire has better costumes than The Matrix, but they are still great pieces. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think I think what you're saying, Aaron, is like the costumes from... it's hard to compare the two of them, right? Because one of them is sort of futuristic, dystopian, futuristic style, and the other one is, you've got the flashbacks to like the 18th century. So you've got all those beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous costumes. I agree, the Star Wars prequels movies. Oh, okay, I just read that. All right, and Christine says, what's your opinion on the costumes in the live-action Cinderella? I have not seen it. I haven't seen it. Is it? Is it the one with the guy from Game of Thrones? He plays the prince. Is that the one? Yeah, I haven't seen it. I should watch it though. My kids might actually like it. A lot of these movies I'll watch with my kids because they're of that age, and I'm getting them into, like, we just watched the latest live action version of Beauty and the Beast, and I think they really liked it. But no, actually the costumes on that look pretty good. It's Richard from Game of Thrones, is it not? Richard Madsen? I don't know who the actress in that is, though. Oh, Christine says, yes, it is. Okay, is it a good movie? I'll check it out. Christine, if you think it's good, I'll check it out. Haley Marie says, everything has been sent to Twitter for you. Oh, thanks, Haley Marie. Awesome. When I get off the stream, I'll have a look for it, okay? And guys, actually, if I miss any of your comments here, Aaron says, eyes grow big at Heidi. You have not seen the live action Cinderella? I know, Aaron, like, I'm a mother. I have 2 kids. I have to wait till they go to bed at night sometimes. I have them locked in a cage right now. I left them a hunk of bread. So hopefully they'll be okay for about an hour. But yeah, it's hard when you're a mom to try and watch shows. What are some of your favorite contemporary fashions? That's a really good question, Holly. Let me see. What do I like? I'll have to think about that and get back to you about that, Holly. Christine says it's one of my favorites. Holly, also, what is your most uncomfortable era in fashion? Oh, sorry. What is the most uncomfortable era in fashion? Well, it'll probably be any time period where there's corsets. I mean, those things are you know, if you look at some of them, they're pretty awful. They're pretty, they're very, very restrictive. So you go from like the Roman period to the Grecian period where everything is really relaxed and the silhouette is very soft and draped. And then you start to move into the medieval period, which is, you know, it starts to move closer to the body and so on. And they would have had a little bit of some type of foundation garment. But then when you move into the 18th century, before that, it'd be the 16th century, the court, it's ridiculous. But the 18th century is probably by far the worst with the corsets. And then you got the panniers, and the panniers would be so wide that you'd actually have to turn sideways to even get through a door. So I would say that's probably the worst, in my opinion. Simeon says, who do you think will design Meghan Markle's wedding dress? Oh, haven't they announced it? I was probably Stella McCartney or something like that. Because she's British. Would they go with a British designer? Maybe they'll go with a Canadian designer though. Because she likes Canadian designers I've seen. Yeah, Aaron agrees with me about the French court. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Those crazy corsets. And they would remove a rib or something. Just so that they would be wearing the stays at such an early age that their bodies would actually contort and their organs would shift and move. Okay. What else have I got here? Also things like, oh yeah, foot binding. Oh my gosh, that is so awful. Yeah. Oh, and actually, I'm reading about, as I'm doing Black Panther, I'm reading about the rings that they wear in Africa. So those would have been given to them by their husband, and then they keep adding the rings and their necks actually get stretched. So that's pretty awful too. I don't know if there's any kind of long-term issues with that though. Oh, Amy. Hi, Amy. AU Pack Mule's in here. Hi, AU. How are you? It's nice to see you in here. Thank you so much for coming. He was here last week too. AU is also another creator. He has a YouTube channel. So you guys should all check him out. He does analysis as well. And he's a big Game of Thrones fan. I think you're also into Westworld, aren't you? We're all the HBO obsessed, Westworld. I don't know if any of you watch The Walking Dead, but a bunch of us have jumped off that train. We can't watch that show anymore. It's just too much. We've sort of had to bail on it. Yeah. And AU says can't be fun. Are you talking about the foot binding, AU? Not sure what he's talking about. You guys have any other questions that you have for me? I think I've talked about everything else. So I was going to remind you, if you came in late to the stream, I was sort of talking about references. If you're looking at doing, research on costumes and you need some references, I left all of those in the description. And I also put in, oh yeah, AU, I thought of you the other day because I was watching Netflix and they did an ad for The Alienist. And I said to my husband, oh, we have to watch this because I'm getting a lot of pressure about that. So yeah, The Alienist is with, it's actually the one guy's from Beauty and the Beast. I don't know his name. And then the girl, she used to be like this little cutie, like in all of these movies years ago, like War of the Worlds and stuff. And now she's all grown up, and it's Victorian era, I suspect. And it's like crime scene investigation, but Victorian crimes. Yeah. Neck stretching is no fun. AU, you could probably describe the show better than I can because you've watched it. But The Alienist, it looks like my husband's saying it was sort of the discovery of forensics used by detectives in England at the time. Aaron wants to know, which costume designers do you feel are the laziest or half-assed their work? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. Pretty much, I have to say, most costume designers, I think, work really hard. Aaron, do you have an opinion? Why don't you tell me who you think, and I'll tell you whether I agree with you or not. Yeah, Alexander says high heels aren't fun either. No, absolutely not. I'm a low heel girl. Let them eat cake because I don't have any room for it. Yep. I think Holly's talking about Marie Antoinette. We were talking about Marie Antoinette last week, weren't we? I'm going to look at that movie as well. So, Aaron, do you have a costume designer that you think is lazy? So, and the other thing I want to mention before I close up the stream today is that I've put both Justin's and In Deep Geek's links in the description. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a live stream with Justin on Wednesday, and that's going to be about Game of Thrones. Sorry, it's going to be about the Borgias, which is on Netflix, Italian Renaissance, and also what's the other show? We might touch on Westworld and Game of Thrones, and then the other show was Peaky Blinders, which is on Netflix right now. I think it's on Netflix. Is that how we're watching it? Yeah, it's on Netflix. I think at least 3 seasons. And then the following weekend, which is actually, what date is that? That is the 28th, April 28th. I'm going to be talking with Robert from In Deep Geek, and we're going to be going through Westworld, the season premiere, and if there's any themes and with the costumes. Like, Robert doesn't know a lot about the costumes, but he has so much knowledge and understanding of Westworld. So he's going to be like such a great person to have on here. If you guys have any questions about Westworld, we can talk about the costumes, but if you guys want to talk about any of the themes, we can totally do that too. Aaron says, I think that is a more different video and private conversation. I don't want to offend anyone. Okay, Aaron, you can private message me, Aaron, about that. And oh, Aaron's birthday is on April 28th. Happy birthday, Aaron. Early birthday. Aaron, you and I are both April babies. My birthday was on April 9th. So we both share April as our birth month. And actually, it was really nice because I went shopping yesterday and she said to me, when are you born? What month? And I said, April. And she said, oh, okay, you get 20% off. So, hey, that worked out really well in my favor. So, Aaron, if you go shopping in April, you might get a 20% discount. AU says, happy birthday. And I keep thinking Aaron's in England, but he's actually in America. And if you're wondering why he has a blue wrench, it's because he's my moderator. I didn't even ask his permission. I just said, Aaron, I just decided to make you my moderator. He's basically been my viewer since the beginning. I think I've had this channel now for 1.5 years. I didn't start really getting into it until the last, year. Like since maybe last June is when I really started saying, okay, I'm going to take this YouTube thing seriously and just start putting out videos. Aw, Holly says, happy birthday. Aw. Because Aaron, it's a bull, Aaron, because you're a Taurus. It's a cute little blue bull for you there. And Aaron, you going to tell us how old you're turning? You don't have to tell us. I mean, that's private. But if you want, you can tell us. Okay, guys. So if there's no further questions, I'm probably going to wrap things up here. Because the kids have been in the cage now for about 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I'm going to let them out. And don't worry, after I let them out of the cage, I'll feed them before they go to bed. So, I'm not the worst mother in the world. Oh, Anna says, neck rings to form the collarbone and top of the rib cage. Removal of the rings can cause pain up to death. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, and I didn't look into it. So if any of you have seen the Black Panther, so the costume designer from that, she was inspired by that tribe that wear the neck rings for the warrior women, whatever they're called. The ones that wear red. They have the rings on their neck and they have the rings on their cuffs. So she was inspired by that. Aaron says, I was wondering also in the beginning of the stream, what the heck is the blue wrench? And I'm turning 22. Yes, Aaron. See, I'm gold. I get a crown here. Here. I'm going to show you. See, I'm gold. Oops, spelled your name wrong. So I'm gold. I get the gold crown, and Aaron is blue, and he gets the blue wrench. Sorry, Aaron, I spelled your name wrong there. A-R-O-N. There you go. Oh, Jasmine says, love your videos. Thank you so much, Jasmine. AU wants me to let the kids out. Well, when I'm done the stream, I'll let them out. I promise you. They're fine. I threw them a hunk of bread. They got a hunk of bread, and they probably have their 3DS in there with them. I usually give them an activity to play with. Yeah, so they'll be okay. Actually, Leland last weekend, my husband told me that he was in the stream, and I think you were talking to him, AU. That was really cute. He's 12. He's also a YouTuber. But I guess my husband said, knock it off. You know, you're monopolizing the stream. But I said, no, he was just talking to AU. So I know I told him today, I said, do you want to come in the stream and chat? But he's doing something else. So my kids are both into tech. They're techie nerds. So they're probably, you know, on YouTube right now or doing something technical or maybe they're blowing up the house. Hopefully not. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone who came in. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be back on Wednesday night with Justin. I'm going to be here on Saturday night again, like next Saturday, with In Deep Geek. And then the following Wednesday, I'm going to have crazy Kristen Jones on, who's a cosplayer. And she's from Flint, Michigan. And she's just a riot. I'm so excited. She did my Arisade video. If you guys have gone on my channel, she did a tutorial and actually had to wrap a Scottish Arisade, which is like just an oversized shawl, and she did such a great job. So I said, I have to have you on. Oh, Aaron says, Emma, send you some new costumes I have done. Awesome, Aaron. And then you can, Aaron, while you're at it, you can, when you message me, you can tell me which costume designers you think really suck. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. And so I'll see you Wednesday. If you can come by, that would be awesome, or next Saturday. And as always, I really appreciate you guys and your support and so on. And AU, I'll probably see you in one of Justin's streams as well. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.